It sounds good. I really like the way that sounds. Papa Chris. Oh, man.
And here, it's another beautiful day on the Pirate broadcast. If I can get my cup going. Cheers, Papa
Cheers.
Chris.
Thank
How are
you.
you
Thank
today?
you. I'm amazing. It's a beautiful day in Miami, Florida. Sorry, I'm in an office
Fantastic.
space, but you can't see the sun.
So on the Pirate broadcast, we love to bring, some interesting people doing interesting things. And Chris is no different. And he is in the trenches, creating, building, growing companies. And I love the fact that he's a new father and he has that new experience of being a father. And we're going to be talking about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness and whatever that's looking like. So, Chris, talk a little bit about how you got to where you are today. What's the short story and the version of what developed Chris to be here today? I'm fascinated by that.
It kind of goes back to when I was a kid. So I was raised for a single mom, single dad, so divorced parents, living in Queens. We moved literally every single year of my life from age 5 until 20. So I had to make new friends wherever I went.
I was going to say, new friends are a major connector.
Major. But I had to learn how to, understand what was happening around me, what they were like, and how to take what's parts of myself and themselves and make them make sense. So it's really good at being almost like a, very aware human being and being almost a chameleon to understand this is what they're like. Okay, let me try that and not judge them at first. And that's a big thing in life these days. Everyone's just always thinking what they're going to say next, what they're judging somebody and what's going to out of their mouths. And I was able to be very friendly and open. And you see the best in people sometimes, often, if you do that. And that got me. I played baseball my whole life. So I played baseball in college. I played in the Junior Olympics when I was a kid in '94 in China. Went to college, played there. Didn't last very long. Had an awful injury first year, and basically just stopped playing at that point. But it got me to college. I saw the world for free. And then after college, I graduated and did a number of jobs that I really didn't love, but I learned a lot about managing teams. So I worked, oddly enough, at CVS Pharmacy as a management trainee, running a 24-hour store in Times Square, which was mayhem. Homeless people going in the bathroom on the floor, getting robbed at knife point, crazy stuff. I learned a lot about life in doing that in New York City. And then I took a job at a startup and learned early on how hard that is. And then I spent the bulk of my career at 1-800flowers.com for 8 years, growing all the corporate partnerships. And from there, I learned what it meant to actually make a partnership happen across 2 corporate entities that otherwise would not have made sense. And a lot of it on the B2B side. And from there, I kind of thrived. That was in the early days of social media. We just basically, we're just getting into the game of that. And they were really good about testing new things. So they're always down we'll open a Twitter account. We'll do Facebook. We'll do Instagram. And they're always the first person there. And they really helped them a lot to kind of test these new markets. And you're seeing now people who get in early on a lot of these platforms, they thrive because they're the first mover advantage. And if you're good, you really thrive. And then I moved to Miami about 7 years ago. My lovely wife brought me here, and it was a beautiful journey. It took a little convincing, but once I got here, I was like, oh, this is good. Every day is summer. Can't beat that. And I wanted to get involved in the city I was living in because I was working remotely for a while for my other job for 1-800flowers, and I wanted to get involved in the city. And I met the fellas and ladies who started Whereby, and they were doing a great thing in the city by making civic publications that really help people connect every day to what's happening around them. Basically, an email newsletter like the Scam or the Hustle that cuts through the clutter of what's happening in the news and helps you get engaged. And being local, you can actually do that part much better. You can say, here's an event happening, come join us, we'll take you with us. Here's the olive branch. And I love doing that with people. I love showing them how to get involved, how to do a thing, how to open that door, and then letting them run with it. And that's our job still to this day, is help people build their communities, help them grow and scale. And we realized pretty much the last year or so that we were doing it all wrong. We were building them ourselves when we could have took our knowledge and made that open. So we've just now open sourced it. Here's the backbone to our businesses. You as a person, Russ Johns, you should make your own publication. You should do your daily newsletter. You should do your daily, your LinkedIn Live. You should be making, written content. You should be hosting events. You should be having membership. You should have products. All the backbones of things do not exist in the same place. They're all
separate,
all over the place. No one knows how to get them to actually use them the best way, and no one knows how to grow their audience through them. And a lot of those services don't help you grow. They just say, "Here's the tool. Good luck."
Yeah.
And then you have to rely on, have a nice day. You have to rely on advertising. You have to rely on hiring an agency. You have to rely on fumbling through it. And a lot of times we saw that our template to what we're doing made sense. And for bigger interest topics. Our topics were very like small. So it's like one city. So how big can they get? Only as big as that city is. So that's, you kind of like pigeonhole to that, how large you can get. But we see this topic being this format for anybody. You know, if you're a member organization, so say you're a nonprofit, you know, chamber of commerce, you should become a media company. That's your job. You know, your job is to tell stories of people who are in the community. Your job is to make things that are of the place that you're in. If you're a nonprofit, you know, doing like Everglades research, you're also a media company. You have to get people to believe in what you're doing and get them activated in actually taking action.
Well, I think a lot of people are confused by this profit and nonprofit space because they're thinking that, you know, they have to be a certain way or do a certain thing. And ultimately, like you said, I think it goes back to storytelling. You know, even the independent consultant that, you know, goes out and, you know, maybe does accounting or, you know, coaching or, you know, speakers, they're, you know, I did a startup a number of years ago called Future Media Association. The whole concept was we're all now in the position of being a producer of content. You know, whether it's words, images, audio, or video, it's all about how can I produce content and get it out there in the world that allows me to either highlight people in the community or highlight what I'm doing or how I'm helping or, you know, what you're doing and what you're doing to help. And I think it's really, we're changing and shifting because, you know, years ago when it was broadcast media, you had 3 channels to surf through and you had to get up off the couch to do it. And, you know, you had billboards and you had some newspaper ads and you had some door hangers and things like that. Now we have an opportunity to have a two-way conversation in social media. And like you said, first person advantage, you know, first adopters are really taking advantage of this because they scale and grow so quickly because they learn and know the platforms. And so, you know, as you've seen this whereby us is if you can consolidate some of those skills and bring them together, the integration, you know, it's taken, you know, I've studied years on integration and email campaigns and landing pages and all these things. And it's like, you know, what is going on? And so if you have an opportunity to actually bring this together in one place, it simplifies it and it takes the tech out of the equation, right?
Totally. That's our goal. Yeah.
So what's now that you've kind of been pivoting and putting this tool in the hands of the end user, what's the business model and how's that going to develop going forward?
Well, I really believe that for a person to thrive as an organization, you know, to have sustainable income, you have to diversify your income in many ways. So that means, you know, having a membership model where people can support your work and maybe not have any advertisements in it, having a model where you do have, you know, people sponsoring your work, making creative product sales, making event, you know, kind of like formats, making projects around certain content topics that make sense. So say you own the entrepreneur conversation. You should probably align with maybe a venture capital group that wants you to kind of run their daily talking about different points in investing in startups. That is a whole business that is open. The field is open for any type of topic to be owned to match it with a corporate sponsor. And that for Army of One can be your lifeblood. You know, they'll probably pay you, you know, a couple $1,000s a month and you're a happy man living out in Arizona. Yeah.
Well, it's funny that you should bring that up because, you know, I'm right now, and we talked about one idea I'm building, and I just love the idea. I came up in the broadcast world, you know, advertising and space and technology. And so one of the challenges that business owners have, either they don't have any time, they don't have enough time to do what they need to do for some of the marketing efforts, some of the, you know, conversations that have to take place. And then they don't necessarily want to deal with all the technology is required to bring it together. And so Pirate Broadcast has been an experiment and a test to you know, MVP a platform that I'm developing that allows other organizations and companies to bring this together and build on their media company. So, you know, very, very similar, very parallel ideas and concepts in a different direction, from a different direction. And I think realistically, I think a lot of companies could actually start their own podcast, which you're already seeing, you know, large organizations, Walmart, Kroger's, and some of these, retail outlets are now starting podcasts, and they can do visual, they can do video, they can do the same thing. Because like right now, Chris, we're streaming on Facebook, we're streaming on YouTube, we're streaming on Periscope, and before the end of the day, you'll be on a post and with a transcription and a podcast. So all of this creative process, and then you can take that data and that information, and you can slice it in multiple sections, and then distribute again and redistribute as a media content. And then in a few months, you got a ton of content, and it's amazing what you can accomplish with a little bit of video and repurposing content here, taking some snapshots and promoting it out, because it is about the story. It is, what is the story? Because if you're not managing your story, somebody else is, right?
100%. You gotta be your own cheerleader. I mean, I for years I've been preaching this to my company, and we're not the best cheerleaders actually. So you think as a media company, you'd be one, but we're not. Most of our team is really based in journalism. And our biggest goal, why we started 5 years ago, is we need to save a lot of people who are from their cities not having paper anymore. So a thing that's very, very widely known is news deserts. And this is in places that are like smaller than 20,000 people in a city. They're not going to have paper within 5 years because they can't support it with ad revenue, and they haven't swapped to digital yet to become a member-based organization, or taking in online dollars, or even having probably a team of like 2 or 3 people. They can't even sustain that. And there needs to be a new model for that. And a lot of it is maybe we'll go into nonprofit functions, which I'm pretty much all in to see work. Sure. And it makes a lot of sense. If you're doing a civic duty, it almost should be, right?
Yeah. Well, I've seen some really successful people in say like the real estate space, and what they'll do is they'll create a community newspaper of sorts, a digital online an update. And they'll give highlights on new businesses, restaurants that are opening, activities that are taking place. And they use all of this content, which is, just accessing the public and the people that are around you, and then distributing that to their potential clients. And what it does is it positions the individual as being the authority in the community, right? So the newspaper is no longer the source of inspiration for people to go do things, or watch a ball game, or go to an activity or play or an event. It's individuals that are producing media in the community and then repurposing that. And it's with this idea and this model. It's amazing to think what we can do as individuals to contribute to the community. So
you have to, basically what's behind me is that. Live like you live here. You need to show up. You need to show up. You need to show up in your communities, and that community can be in person where you live, or it can be on the internet where you live. Yeah. And a lot of people, I think, who are watching this get that. Yeah. But most common folks don't. They're really concerned about a very much smaller slice called themselves and their immediate family.
So speaking of family, you're a new father. You've been in the tech space for long. Papa Chris is here. He's showing up today, and you have a unique style. You have a unique experience. You're an individual. So in your community, and as you grow this community out, how do you see children and individuals that are not necessarily invested in the tech space? How are they using? There you came back. How are you utilizing tech, or how do you see tech evolving in 10 years, 15 years for your kids? So how do you visualize that in your head?
I've had to think about this a lot right now, as having a 12-week-old, and I'm kind of like scared to give them my phone, because I feel like once they get that, it's an endless hole. But I mean, most of the things that I've learned have been from technology. Everything I do on research-wise is on the computer, so if you use it right, then it's wonderful. As far as the way we use it, I think it's going to be a lot more automated. You're going to be a lot more voice activation for stuff, less typing, more talking, more visual. And I think there'll be a lot more appreciation for written formats actually as we get older. You're seeing people return actually to like these like longer form, higher end versions of content. So magazines that before were going extinct are coming back. People like to have a very beautiful thing in their hands. So it's the higher quality stuff that's going to live on. You don't need to make, you don't need a paper anymore to print because that's being done on the internet. But some things are meant for basically to be held in red. I wish I knew the future. I would tell you, but I don't know it. So I know we're all.
Well, it's all perspective. I mean,
we're in time in our life right now.
A lot of people, the AI, some people fear it, some people embrace it. I feel the people that are going to, like we talked about, early adopters win big, and the people that can learn how to adapt and receive and utilize the tools that are in their hands are the ones that are going to make a difference in the world. And so many things, because we're no longer limited to geography. 50 years ago, we were limited to, okay, what's around me, what's local, and now it's what's global, and what's so-and-so doing in Sweden and Australia. What are some other people doing that are very similar or like-minded individuals, and so this mind share across the world is really going to make an impact, is going to continue to make an impact. It already has made an impact. And I just think it's mind blowing when we talk about and we think about how we can understand it, learn how to use it to help others. I mean, it's like, okay, let's build something that's really cool that helps people. What's wrong with that? And then the other camp is AI is going to take over and we're all going to be, we're going to become the robots. You walk into a smart house and get told what to do. It's like, I don't know if that's going to work or not, but hey, so I'm just fascinated by it. And I love the fact that we're having this conversation, and this is exactly what the Pirate Broadcast is about. I wanted to highlight some people that are here and, say hello and give a shout out to Vicky O'Neill. She's always in here. She'd rather live in Florida.
Come on over. We'll take you.
Yeah. She lives in Ohio. Jennifer, all is well. Juan Castro. Gabriel, thank you so much. Arcot, thank you so much. Sherry Lolly. Future will say, hey, Alexa, order 2 more gondola hairnets. She does gondola hairnets. So
I don't know what that is. What is that? Show me one.
Well, say in the construction site where they have the bins where you're taking the bins out, so you can contain the waste. And so you put these giant covers over, like you're covering, you have to cover your load on waste products. And I'll get her on the show and we can talk about it, but it's a cool product. She invented it. She put this together, solving problems. She's great at it. She's an awesome individual that you should know.
Cool.
So if you're not connected with Chris, here, let me do this, Chris.
Yeah.
Because this is really cool. So if you're not connected to Chris, join him on right here.
Right there. I'll post the link in the feed. And
linking Chris. Yeah. So I love the idea that we have a community like LinkedIn. So how has LinkedIn been for you? I mean, where do you hang out mostly? What's your social profile look like for those that don't know you yet, Chris?
On LinkedIn, I get a lot of people coming in to discuss advisement on startups, on helping them find people to invest in them, or business model kind of like ironing out. It's great. I love it. I love talking to people about what they're working on. That's how I learn. I learn by other people's what they're making, and I see the ones there that need some help, or ones that could not even be a thing. But I like to talk about it. So I'm always down to kind of discuss those things. And I've been on LinkedIn, I think, since almost 20 years now, since college.
Yeah.
Which is crazy how long that's been. And And I could say I talk to everyone who hits me up. So I'm going to discuss, hey, what do we have in common that we can help each other out on? I don't like to just randomly have connections I don't talk to. So, it's hard sometimes. I have like a list of like probably 50 or so to get to, but I get to it eventually.
Yeah.
And some folks who don't live in America, I'm always like, there's a language barrier sometimes, which you're a little scared of, but you have to just go with it,
Lean into the fear. That's where the growth takes place.
Google Translate's amazing. It's really cool. It's
and we have to give a shout out to Adam. Adam from the podcast. You guys are friends way back, and that's how we connected. And I was really attracted to your shirt now. So tell people about the shirt, because you wear the shirts that I just, in high school, which was years and years ago, and this is long before your time, but it was like I used to wear these shirts called Nick Nicks.
Yeah, I know those.
And they were art shirts, and so that was my style in high school. So it reminded me of that whole flashy. And I love Miami. I loved, I would go down to Miami. I did a lot of work down there and spent time down in Miami and South Beach and drinking is it kolaches? The small coffee, the Cuban coffee.
Cafecito.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
I have them right here. It's right
plantain
here.
And
I got a double
black beans and things like that, and it's just like good stuff. I love it.
Nick Nicks are cool. They're like a really different version of these shirts. They're more like kind of like patchworky. This is called Jam's World, and it's a cool story actually. So my wife bought me one of these shirts about 5 or 6 years ago, and it became like my instant this is gonna be my party shirt. This is my barbecue shirt, and it became that. And then I was wearing it one day to a barbecue, of course. If you guys know the name Shep Gordon, you know that name? He's one of the biggest managers of like artists in the world, music, and also all the chefs. So I was happening at his birthday party in Miami, which is a random occurrence in its own. And I'm getting a plate of ribs, and he comes up behind me and taps me on the shoulder and says, "Hey, is that a Jam shirt?" I go, "Yeah, how do you know that?" He's like, "My neighbor owns the company in Hawaii." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, my whole closet was filled with these in the 80s and 90s. I'm like, "This is amazing. There's more of these shirts." He's like, "Yeah, there's like thousands of them." I'm like, "Well, can I meet your neighbor?" He's like, "Yeah, just like email her." So I emailed the founder, and I started buying them on eBay. Actually, they're really cheap on the older ones, like $20. So the vintage, I have a lot of vintage ones, and it became my uniform. I was like, "This is this easy uniform. I wear this with a pair of black Lululemon pants and some sneakers, and that's what I wear every day in my life." And it's become so easy to get dressed in the morning that you don't even think about it anymore. I just pick what's next on the rack. I have over 100 shirts, so I can wear never wear the same shirt every 3 months. So it's been wonderful, and it's become my uniform, and it's had a lot of benefits. I will say, like, people always stop me in the streets to say, "Hey, nice shirt," and then from that usually starts a conversation. And I need no more business card. There's no more icebreaker needed. Like, this is enough of an icebreaker to have someone say, "Stop in the tracks." So it works. It works, and I definitely pick out ones that are more me. It's not just a random assortment of shirts. Like, I really go deep into like finding vintage ones that fit my profile. And I'm kind of an artist as well on the side, so I paint a lot of like clothes. So I'll paint my sneakers.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. So you find, and it looks like,
yeah. Are we back on?
So you walk into a room and people already know who you are by your profile and your look and feel. That's kind of like my beard and my hat. And the glasses. It's like, okay, I got a signature look, and so it really, for people that don't really realize that makes an impact and makes a difference, it really does. So I applaud you. Hats off today.
Our hats are off today. I was gonna wear one. Oh man, but it helps to stand out in some way that someone will remember you. And then once you talk to somebody, then you really nail it down, like, oh, this person's a real genuine person. So some people do it for the wrong reasons. I think I've done it. I did it. I first started doing it just out of like, this is a cool thing to do. And then my dad got sick like 4 months in, and he lost his memory. So this is a weird turn that it took, and he didn't know who anybody was, but he knew my shirts. Thankfully, after a few months, his memory came back. He had a weird little disease that made him lose memory, but he came back. But he's like, "Oh, Chris, I know this guy." I'm like, that was scary when he didn't know who anybody was in the hospital for a few weeks. So I'm
Wow.
like, I guess the shirts are not going to be a thing. And now he wears the shirts every day. So he
That's
has become
awesome.
me, and he thinks that he started it, which is even funnier. I'm like, Dad, I kind of started this thing. He loves it. He like runs. He like sits at his like his like retirement home and just like holds court, and like everyone loves him. So
Yeah.
I would recommend find a uniform because it'll help you.
Uniform.
It really can't hurt. There's no
No.
downside to it.
No. And life is so funny because it's, you know, you don't know what twist or turn is going to take. And, you know, especially when you're working in so many startup, you know, the startup community, there's so many amazing ideas that are being developed every single day. And you probably see more than many, you know, all the time. And so has there been any technology or anything that you've really has stopped you in your tracks and said, wow, this is interesting. This is cool. I mean, besides Wear by Us, you know, you got a couple of other things that are going on. I know that you have a couple of other things that you're like paying attention to. So you want to share those with us?
For sure. Yeah. Some of the companies that I've chosen to advise for are ones that I love the products. So I find that's a really important thing. If you're going to advise somebody, you have to love what they're doing. If they realize that this is innovative, this is good for humanity.
Yeah.
My good friend Maxine started a thing called Caribou. And for me, it's essential as a new dad. It's reading to your kids in a virtual environment. So they use an iPad and they're reading a book. So your grandma lives in like Idaho and you live in Miami. It's a virtual interactive book on your iPad. And you're both reading it together. And you can turn pages together. You can write on the book. It's video is on the screen. And it really helps someone who doesn't live in the same place have a connection with their grandchild or child when they're on the road. I love it. I think it's super smart. I think that they're going to evolve their business model and it's really going to be a big hit. More of that's going to happen, I believe. Right now, this wouldn't have happened 10 years ago. This is amazing technology that this can happen.
And it was pretty easy to get on and connect with and schedule and everything.
Super. I love live video. I really do. And I think more people should be doing it. I think it's underutilized, actually. You know, you think it's maybe like saturated. It's not saturated at all.
It's not saturated at all.
Need to just start talking to each other in real life terms and not have a veil over themselves. Like be yourself, because that's the biggest thing I hate about seeing someone who's not being authentically themselves and drives me crazy. I'm like, that's a fake thing on the internet. That's not really you. Like that's like, you know, staged photo. Like,
yeah, that's the Instagram famous view.
it really hurts. Like I'll post pictures that I've taken, but not on purpose. Like, oh, this is a great picture. I'll post this. That wasn't like stopping. Like, I'm gonna get the right viewpoint of myself here. Is this the right angle? Like, I don't know. But I love live video. I think it's great. So commend you for doing it. And if you guys have babies or children or you're for grandparents, get Caribou. It's a really great service. I'll send you a link to get it for free if you want it. And that's been really cool. What else do I love? I've been loving this company called Juntos. They make sustainable shoes out of Ecuador, out of llama fur. So the llamas live on forever. They
used to raise llamas.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah, I had a farm up in the Northwest and had over 30 llamas at one point in time. So.
Oh wow, amazing.
Yeah, we used to take the llamas to the retirement community and walk through, and then go down the beaches and do beach combing with the llamas with packs and stuff.
They are beautiful animals. They're really beautiful animals. They're so, I don't know, they're very soft-centered animals. You feel like they're like very compassionate people. Well, animals.
Exactly.
It makes you a better person.
So what's this startup doing with it's shoes?
Yeah, they're making shoes out of the shearings that they do every couple months. So it's the normal shearings that they do. It's not they grow it just to have them. And they're beautiful. They're really comfortable. I would recommend. And it's like basically it's like wool, right?
Yeah.
Where it doesn't smell, like it lasts. Even in Miami, it's very thin.
It's amazing.
Yeah, kind of like Allbirds, but more of a better quality.
Huh.
So yeah, very comfortable.
Yeah, post that in the comments so we can go check it out.
Oh yeah. Juntos Project is that one. A cool one in Miami called Shoot My Travel, which is like on-demand photographers for like, you know, if you're traveling, you want something to like shoot your travel. Genius idea. Like if you're in France, who's going to take all the great photos of your vacation? You stop every 10 minutes and do this. It's like annoying. Or if you're an ad agency, you know, on-demand photographer. Yeah. That's a whole freelancer world that's not being, you know, utilized right now. And
it's like Airbnb for photographers, huh?
Exactly. And I think a lot of that's going to happen very soon. And someone's going to capitalize that, like videographers, all these services that you see like Fiverr or Reddit doing that, right? But like it's not like really great. So they want more of a higher end version of that.
Well, it's almost like Top Tal, and you know how they're using for programmers too. So it's like you have a vetted community that you know when you say, hey, I'm gonna book this commitment, I'm gonna get a certain level of information back. I'm gonna certain level of content back. So that's fantastic. Anything else you want to mention or share?
Oh my Lord, so many more. I'm going on my profile. I forget these days. I'm really into like non-drinking alcohol these days. So I've started advising this company called Proposition Cocktail, and it's really delicious, high-end made cocktails with no alcohol in them. So it's like having a margarita or like having an old fashioned. Tastes just like it, but there's no alcohol in it. They infuse it with CBD. Hemp-based, so there's no mind-altering effects. There's a lot of like mood-altering effects.
Right.
I think that's a huge market right now with the low alcohol beverage content stuff.
Oh, it's massive.
And actually, if you want to mix it in with booze, it tastes amazing too. So it's really great. It's kind of like
it doesn't take away from it.
It does not take away. You can add a shot of tequila in that margarita and feel totally good about it because it's only 26 calories. It's really like, how is this so good? Tastes so good for you. I don't get it. Like, it's if you're gonna put Red Bull in your vodka, you're gonna put this in it because it's actually healthy for you, all plant-based.
Yeah.
Beautiful company out of San Francisco. John's a really good operator. We've been working very hard on his like launch, and he's out there. He's at some cool places already. So it's like he's going after like the Soho Houses standard hotel universe to start.
Yeah.
But you kind of got to do that. It's not cheap. It's like $6 a bottle, but
sure.
You're buying a beer for $9 at one of those places. So
heck yeah.
Whatever.
That's fantastic. So I know you're busy, and I really appreciate all the gratitude in the world, Chris, for being on here and sharing a few ideas with us and helping us understand a little bit more into the startup community and the advisor role that you're playing and making sure that, if people have an idea, they have emotion, and they're doing something, they can reach out and talk to you and connect with you on LinkedIn. And also, as a new father, Papa Chris here, what's the words of wisdom that you want to leave us with today before we take off?
Oh, I say this all the time. I learned it from my father-in-law. I have like a rich dad, poor dad kind of like cool thing going on. So my father-in-law has been through a crazy life of like severe ups and severe downs. Mm-hmm. And he's taught me that life is a marathon, not a sprint. And you need to really take it in much smaller doses to get to the longevity that you want. So don't take every opportunity to like go for it all, or just like take them in much smaller bites. Everything will eventually come back to you, and it all comes in cycles. So when you run a marathon, you kind of take your things and I'm going to do my first mile of this much, the second mile of this much. So it's more about your cadence in life. So take that for what it is. Hopefully it makes sense.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here, Chris. And as you know, everyone, kindness is cool. Smiles are free. And you enjoy the day.
Bye, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us.
Bye.